right, thank you, Mike, and we are ready for the day's second quarterfinal. North Carolina State against 7th-ranked Duke. The Wolfpack survived last night's game and moved over 500. Duke comes in at 23-7, 12-4 in the ACC. And in the opening game of the quarterfinals, it was Maryland surviving against Clemson. They will meet the winner of Duke and North Carolina State. Good afternoon, everybody. Mike Patrick and Dan Bonner. It's great to have you with us. Duke has been quite a story. The first team in ACC history to go from dead last to conference champion in only 2 years, and outside shooting has been a real strength.
Mike, outside shooting has been a strength. Duke has relied heavily on the three, but they have also discovered the medium-range jump shot. Duke is a team that can score. Jeff Capel is a guy who is a good three-point shooter, but he has the ability to give that pump fake, move in for the jump shot from about 10 to 12 feet. Rashawn McLeod is a guy on the inside who understands you don't have to take it all the way to the basket for a dunk, that the 3 or 4 foot jump shot can sometimes work just as well. Duke's effectiveness is because they can still get after you on defense, but they can put points on the board.
North Carolina State was the winner last night against Georgia Tech. They won 5 of their last 6 and actually emerged as a threat in this tournament.
Mike, I really think so. They play solidly on the defensive end of the court, and if they can control the ball and control the tempo, they can really create problems.
All right, we'll be back with the starting lineups. Duke and North Carolina State. And for the 4th time in the 90s, Duke comes into this tournament as the top seed. They have the most depth and the best long-range shooting in Mike Krzyzewski's 17-year run in Durham.
ESPN's presentation of Championship Week is brought to you by Nike, who encourages you to participate in the lives of America's youth.
Game 2 of the ACC quarterfinals from the sold-out Greensboro Coliseum, 23,000 plus. Let's look at the lineups. For the Wolfpack, Clint Harrison, the club's leading scorer, one of only 2 players averaging in double figures for a deliberate North Carolina State offense. For the Blue Devils, Trajan Langdon, first-team All-ACC as a sophomore. The team's best scorer, #1 in the conference in three-point shooting. He's hitting better than 46% from long range. We are underway in the second quarterfinal. Wojciechowski with the basketball. The best assist-to-turnover ratio in the ACC, one of the best ever in college basketball, nearly 3-to-1, guarded by Rodney Hyatt. Langdon to Capel. Great no-look pass inside. The first bucket for Chris Carrawell. They're concerned about Carrawell. His shoulder will pop out, the left one, from time to time out of the socket. It did before the North Carolina game. He's been in some pain. He'll have surgery afterward, but it's gotten better in the last couple of days.
Mike, Duke really attacked on the offensive end on that first series. North Carolina State, a good defensive team.
Langdon will draw the foul against Clint Harrison, who has averaged 20 points a game in his last 5. And NC State playing without their very good freshman Damon Thornton. There's Herb Sendek, the first-year coach. Thornton injured his hip, and the doctors have advised him not to play the rest of the season. That's a big loss for them, so they go the same way Duke does, Dan, with a small lineup.
Mike, it's really interesting. This lineup out here looks like a Division II game. Now these teams certainly they're much better quality than that, and I'm not trying to say anything that's insulting, but the size that's out on the court here is more a Division II type of size than a Division I type of size.
It is a point well taken. There's nobody that's 6'9", 250 guy in the middle.
Well, McLeod is the biggest guy, and he's like 6'7" or 6'8", and everybody else is smaller than that.
Wojciechowski with Justin Gainey, the freshman, on. This is Capel. Driving on Harrison, dishes it off. Mike McLeod gets the bucket.
You can talk all you want about Duke and their reliance on the outside shot, and they do rely on the outside shot to set things up for them, but in their first 2 possessions, they attacked and went right inside.
This basketball team has improved dramatically from the first third of the season. They are a danger to anyone in the country that they play, even without the height, and there's a turnover. And this kid, Jeff Capel, he had to go through an awful lot this year. Gets it off to Wojo. Actually booed at home. A rare occurrence at Cameron Indoor, and he has fought back from it. Wojciechowski all the way. A tougher kid you'll never find.
Mike, now North Carolina State, we said, is an outstanding defensive team, and Duke in 3 possessions has 3 layups.
And they've made it look easy, haven't they?
They can score, Mike. There are so many teams in college basketball that have difficulty scoring, and Duke, they're a team that has guys, despite their size, who can put points on the board, and that is the most important function to serve in a college basketball game. Nobody counts rebounds or turnovers or anything like that. Who's got the most points at the end?
Capel looking inside. McLeod, the transfer from St. John's, the first in the Mike Krzyzewski era, makes it 8-1, very much like the start of the Maryland-Clemson game. Duke on fire early. They've hit all 4 shots from the floor, and they haven't had anything over 5 feet.
No, and that last one was their longest shot. It was a 5-6-footer, and that was the first non-layup. Mike Krzyzewski has to be extremely pleased with the way his team has started this game.
During the regular season, Duke won by 7 and then won by 29 as Langdon exploded, but Capel had a career high in the first game.
Mike, I think the significant factor in both of those games is to keep in mind that North Carolina State is a team that averages under 60 points a game. And so if you're the Duke Blue Devils and you're going to put 70 and 80 points up there, you're going to make it very, very difficult for the Wolfpack.
Duke averages 80 points a game, NC State 58, so tempo is going to be huge. And look at the Duke pressure. They want to create the problems. That's an over and back violation.
Mike, if you're a team like North Carolina State that tries to control the ball, you have to handle the ball to do that. And thus far, they haven't been able to do it. A couple of turnovers. Man-to-man defense.
Strong picked up Wojciechowski, wouldn't let him inside.
You play a small lineup like this, all these guys out there can shoot the ball and can handle the ball for Duke. This makes it very, very difficult to defend.
Langdon's become much better at creating his own shot. There's a bad pass picked off by Harrison. 1 against 2. Wojciechowski knocks it away twice and steals. Isn't he something? Capel has his pocket pick. Harrison ahead of Wojo, and he can't catch him that time.
He had a step on him. Wojciechowski not the most swift of foot, but I'm telling you, if he can get there, he's going to cause all sorts of problems.
8-3, Duke with the early spread. Capel will try a 3. Hyatt hustled after the rebound.
And coming in, Duke as a team had attempted 650 three-point shots. And Mike Krzyzewski, as a coach, is not one who has been well known to rely on that shot.
Well, he's got some guys that can jack it up from long range this year. Led by Langdon. Harrison.
All good
it out to strong. 7 on the shot clock.
Mike, all good coaches adjust their game plan and their style to their personnel.
Harrison with a little runner.
Boy, Harrison, when he's moving toward the basket, Mike, he is so effective.
Excellent off the dribble, can create anything.
Man-to-man defense.
NC State, after some early butterflies, calmed down a little bit. Nice head fake by Wojciechowski. Gets Gainey flying into it.
Mike, that's not a bad foul for Herb Sendek's troops. They're really playing with a great deal of intensity on the defensive end of the court.
Well, with Duke and NC State, there will be intensity to spare out there. 15:47 to go in the half.
バスケットボール。マイケル・ジョーダンは来シーズンも現役続行を宣言。年齢の高さをものともしないベテラン集団シカゴブルズ。 昨年の最終戦ではブルズに僅差で敗れ悔しい思いをしたペイサーズ。前回とは違いスミスが戦力となっている今回の対戦、なんとか借りを返したい。 NBA シカゴブルズ対インディアナペイサーズは今日午後10時32分放送。お見逃しなく。
スポーツアイ ESPN が自信を持ってお送りするエキサイティングハンドボール。
5月に熊本で行われる世界選手権に向けてハンドボールの魅力を毎週1時間にわたってお伝えします。
世界のトップレベルのプレーからハンドボールを楽しむための基礎知識、そして熊本で行われる世界選手権の情報など、まさに内容盛りだくさん、てんこ盛りでお送りしていきます。
エキサイティングハンドボール、
お見逃しなく。
Updating other quarterfinal action. Tight game in the Southeastern Conference. Vandy blew a 10-point lead, but they're coming back. Billy DeSpaltro in the side. The Jersey kid, the bang in the bucket. Add another free throw since. The Commodores lead Ole Miss by 3. Meantime, Keontae Roberts has fouled out. Oklahoma State hasn't scored in 4 minutes. Number 1 leads by 7. Here's Mike.
All right, Mike, we have a 3-point Duke lead early in the first half. 15:47 to go. They're on top of NC State 8-5. What a turnaround after the first half of the ACC season. Duke was only 5-3. North Carolina State left for dead at 0-8. But look what they've done in the second half. Duke with its only loss to North Carolina in the season finale. North Carolina State actually finished 500 in the second half and had 2 heartbreaking losses against Carolina. The 3 by Chappelle got his own rebound. Mike Chappelle, the 6'8" freshman.
That young man really is very fluid on the basketball court. And I tell you what, you better block him out.
They'd love to see him gain weight. His parents own a couple of McDonald's, and even with all the free Big Macs, he couldn't put any pounds on.
Well, Mike, all he's got to do is get to be 30 years old, and then he'll put on all the weight he wants. All the weight he doesn't want.
Yeah, free Big Macs would be the kiss of death, wouldn't it? Yeah, you and I'd be in a lot of trouble. Harrison, another leaner. Soft touch wouldn't go that time. McLeod with a rebound.
Mike Harrison is asked to do so much in that North Carolina State offense.
Ricky Price, who has turned his season around, slashes in. Kept it alive, and Price may have the foul, and he does.
A little bit off balance by Ricky Price on that particular play, but again, I don't think that's a bad foul by Price. It's a shot that doesn't look really good, but it's a shot made in the attack. And I think if Duke is going to be successful, that they have got to attack you constantly. The other thing, Mike, that Duke has is they've got a lot of guys who can play. A lot of teams have a rotation of 6 or 7 guys. Duke can really put, 10 people out there who can play.
And they're good ones. Strong inside. He's been an enigma this year. Danny Strong, all of his numbers down from a season ago. Part of that has to do with the system and the controlled offense.
And Strong is a guy, I think, that you can trace a lot of the North Carolina State turnaround to Danny Strong's comfort level in the offense. He and Harrison both have done a super job, particularly over the last half of the season, but Strong in particular. That game that he had against Virginia up in Charlottesville, where he put on a show in a North Carolina State loss, really got him going offensively.
Gainey, who was much more comfortable at the point in the last few games, really understanding the offense that Herb Sendek has installed. Strong with a shot clock at 10.
See how Price respects Strong's ability to do that. He was right out there on it. And the burden on Danny Strong much heavier in this game because Damon Thornton will remind you again the outstanding 6'7" freshman center for North Carolina State. Out with that inflamed hip flexor.
You get to explain what an inflamed hip flexor.
I have no idea. You got a sore hip.
Hyatt for 3. Rebound to Price. Sore hip's good. That'll work. Chappelle left alone. Nate James hustling after the rebound. Bodies flying and State's ball. Nate James made the first team in practice before season started. Then he got hurt and hasn't had much time since then. Carmen Wallace is also in there. Another miss, rebound to Price. So Mike Krzyzewski has already gone 9 deep. Foul on Benjamin, who made the coaches all ACC defensive team. And here are the minutes. And that, look at Newton at 24-4. Newton had been in the coach's doghouse for a long time. Now he's become a factor again. And you throw in Domzowski with an occasional minute in there, and you've got a 10, 11 guys who can play.
And we in our first game, Mike, we had Gary Williams talking about how he felt his team was struggling because they were tired, that they'd only played 7 guys. So it's a real luxury when you can put 9 or 10 guys out on the court, all contributors.
Langdon, an exceptional free throw shooter, 6th in the country, 1st in the ACC. Mike Krzyzewski has put together quite a club. And his run in postseason is far, far from over.
Mike, the interesting thing about it is this is a much different looking Duke club than people were assuming it would be early in the season. They were talking about Domzowski and Newton.
Exactly. Langdon on the run. He'll take it in against Hyatt. Basket in the score.
And what you have is, instead of a lineup based on a big power game, you've got one of these transition games where the guys shoot the ball from the outside, they take it from you. The Duke, of course, we talk about Duke and their ability to score, but the Duke Blue Devils still play defense about as well as anybody. And of the Duke, just like the Duke teams of old, the idea is to take those turnovers and turn them into baskets. And Langdon, watching the basket, despite the fact that Hyatt is moving under him, keeps his eye on the basket, and as a result, he gets another three-point play.
Langdon has half a dozen in the first half, 16-5 Duke. NC State can ill afford to stay down for a long time, not the kind of a team that comes back on you. Luke Buffum into the game for the first time.
Boy, I'm telling you, Duke is all over him defensively.
Harrison will try a 3. Buffum kept it alive. Buffum again.
Buffum happens to be the biggest guy out there. And at 6'8" in the ACC, that doesn't happen too often.
No.
Luke Buffum.
Well, the chink in the armor for Duke is their lack of ability to rebound. They were just destroyed by North Carolina in that last regular season game. And on the year, they have lower average rebounds than their opponent.
Duke has to be able to apply its style to a basketball game. And I certainly think that a concern for Mike Krzyzewski as his team gets ready, not only for the NCAA tournament, but for this tournament as well, as there they get a three-point shot, is how are they going to be able to handle those big teams?
Duke on a 9-0 run after Capel hits the 3. It's 19-5. NC State approaching shell shock now, down by 14.
Look at how far away from the basket they're trying to run their offense.
They like to use Buffum up at the top of the key. Here's Strong. Almost shot-putted one up there. Price trying to run. Against numbers and scores anyway. 21-5. Herb Sendek has seen enough, at least for 20 seconds. Well, if tempo is something they had to control, they haven't.
Mike, one of the things you have to do if you're going to control tempo is you have to be able to handle the ball, and Duke's defense has just really caused some problems, and then they've been able to turn it into offense like this. That was a 1-on-3 play, but when you're ahead 19-5, you can feel comfortable making those plays, and that's the reaction of Herb Sendek.
Hey, your comfort level does go up a couple of notches, doesn't it?
You're up by 14 points, you miss that shot, you run down the court, and the Polish fellow there on the bench says, hey, take a better shot.
Duke with 9 points of their 21 in transition this afternoon.
It's a little closer than that. He said something else, too.
Yes. Price picks up his second person. The other good thing about the Duke depth this year, it's very difficult to get anybody in foul trouble. You can rotate so many players. Duke on a run of 13-0. They lead by 16 over North Carolina State.
NBA バスケットボール。マイケル・ジョーダンは来シーズンも現役続行を宣言。年齢の高さをものともしないベテラン集団シカゴブルズ。昨年の最終戦ではブルズに僅差で敗れ悔しい思いをしたペイサーズ。 前回とは違いスミスが戦力となっている今回の対戦、なんとか借りを返したい。 NBA シカゴブルーズ対インディアナペイサーズは今日午後10時32分放送。お見逃しなく。
オランダサッカー、今シーズンのオランダリーグは PSV とフェイエノールとの一騎打ちとなりそうです。今回はその2強が対決。記録的な得点アベレージの PSV に勝たなければ優勝の見えないフェイエノールと絶対に見逃せない好カード。オランダサッカー PSV 対フェイエノールとは月曜日午前2時から衛星生中継、バイリンガル放送は火曜日午後7時からです。
待ちに待ったプロ野球シーズンがいよいよ到来。スポーツアイ ESPN ではオリックス戦を中心にパ・リーグの試合をお送りしていきます。さて注目のオープン戦は野球ファン必見の好カード。今日午後6時からはオリックス対巨人、明日日曜日午後6時からはオリックス対ヤクルトを放送。またパーフェクト TV 加入の方はこの2試合を午後1時から生中継でご覧いただけます。お楽しみに。
With 6 minutes and 20 seconds left in the Big 12 quarterfinal, Oklahoma State led 57-55. Kansas scored 19 of the last 21 points. Keontae Roberts fouled out. Paul Pierce and company walked to the semifinals with a 15-point victory. Still tight in the SEC. We'll keep an eye on that one over the next few minutes. Mike and Dan.
All right, Mike, our story here, it's Duke 21, Clint Harrison 5. He is the only one who has scored for North Carolina State. Unfortunately for them, he hasn't scored a lot more. They're down by 16.
Mike, Duke has done a great job putting heavy defensive pressure on North Carolina State, denying them the opportunity to comfortably run time off the clock, and they have been able to convert that defensive pressure into some offensive efficiency that, as you can see, looks pretty amazing.
62% from the floor, perfect from the line. Nearly thrown away, and it is as Benjamin sails out of bounds.
A little bit of intensity over there on the part of Mike Krzyzewski.
5 turnovers by North Carolina State.
Duke just refuses to let North Carolina State control the ball. And see, now what happens is it's like being way behind in a football game and you have to pass. The defense knows it and they come after you. And so Duke, they're really coming after North Carolina State now.
McLeod against Buffalo.
They lost the ball.
And Strong picks it off. Gainey trying to push. Let's see if he sets up. He will. NC State with a woeful start. 22%, nothing from long range, and Harrison has all 5.
Duke simply attacks every pass, and there again you have a situation where they just run at the guy passing the ball. They don't give him a chance to catch and turn and comfortably pass it inside.
6 turnovers in the first 9 minutes plus. Hyatt will come back in for Strong. Always liked Jeremy Hyatt's game. Senior this year out of Jacksonville, Florida.
He had a good game yesterday. It was one of the key factors in North Carolina State's win against Georgia Tech. But for the Wolfpack, if you just can't score on the offensive end, it's very difficult to maintain defensive intensity. And that's when you risk getting your doors blown off.
Langdon. Benjamin, just a terrific defender, and Langdon asked for a timeout while he was on the floor and got it.
And as you can see, North Carolina State hadn't lost very much, if any, of that defensive intensity so far. That is a great effort.
Well, especially Benjamin. He'll get in your uniform. ESPN Championship Week continues tonight with the AT&T Big East Championship, the semifinals with number 21 Villanova against Providence. That game will be followed by Georgetown, and John Thompson really has the Hoyas going against the Eagles of Boston College. That will be a 9 o'clock start Eastern here on ESPN. And some of the individual stars, Victor Page with 31 points in the Big East tournament. Had his shooting woes, but he's got the green light from John Thompson to put it up at any time.
I had a high school coach who told me that you should get as many points in the game as shots you attempt, and so Page did that. He had 31 points and 31 shots. I don't know how he would have felt about me shooting the ball 31 times, though.
I think he might have changed his philosophy. He might have said as many points as fouls. All right, right now we're going to check in with Mike Tirico. Michael.
All right, Mike, while we keep a close eye on what's happening there in Greensboro, let's send everyone now to what's going on in Memphis. The SEC, Mississippi in the white, Vanderbilt in the yellow, Tim Brando and Barry Booker.
Ole Miss hasn't scored well, but a great rebounding job and good job on the defensive end.
Tied at 62, 144 and counting. Mississippi, a seeded team for the first time since the early 80s. Against Vanderbilt, a winner yesterday against Mississippi State. Lange finally hauls down the rebound for the Commodores. Timeout, Vanderbilt. They have 1 plus a 20 remaining. The Rebels with 2 fulls left in our game. 126.
All right, during the timeout, let's send you back to the ACC. We'll get you back out to the Southeastern Conference for the finish there. Mike?
All right, thanks, Mike. Harrison at the free throw line misses his first. He has all 5 of North Carolina State's points. Now make it all 6, but they're down by 15. Duke swarming over them in the first half. Price from the baseline. Carrawell tried to keep it alive, but good job by Buffum to body him up. Harrison picked up by Wojo. Gainey to Buffum. Wojciechowski picked his pocket, and then Wojciechowski with a takedown. Gee whiz, he just went after Benjamin and took his legs out from under him.
He was going after the basketball, and the problem for Benjamin is the basketball was right around Benjamin's legs, and Wojciechowski he's going to the ball.
That's a good form tackle.
Wow.
That's the way corners and safeties are supposed to do it.
Mike, and there you have again with Duke, with the depth that they have, the players who are out there feel like they can play very, very hard because they've got guys who come in and spell them, or they've got guys who can help out in the event that they do get some fouls.
Rashawn McLeod picks up his first personal foul. And the tough thing for North Carolina State is they don't have anywhere near the depth to counter that.
Herb Sendek's kids might continue to play hard. Duke is really, the word swarming that you used is absolutely the correct one, but North Carolina State hanging in there, still trying to get the ball to the basket in their offensive game and still playing pretty hard on the defensive end.
That was the first point from anybody besides Harrison. 9:21 to go in the half. $13-point ball game.
Man-to-man defense.
Harrison's a tough matchup for Wojciechowski. He did a nice job on Harpering last night before he got in foul trouble. McLeod with the score, and with that, we go to Mike Tirico.
And we'll kick you right back now to Memphis, where they're out of the timeout. Nothing's happened. Still a tie game between Vanderbilt and Ole Miss. Ole Miss in the white uniforms. Here's Tim Brando and Barry Booker once again.
This time in the game finds Lange. Stripped on the way up. Taken down by White. The strength of both teams in evidence in that sequence.
Loose ball, once again, Ole Miss able to come up with it in that situation.
Timeout, Rebels. They have 1 left with 1 minute to go.
All even there. Vanderbilt went to overtime with Mississippi State in the first round yesterday. What will happen today? Let's go back to Mike in Greensboro.
And our story here, Mike, 8:27 to go, first half. Duke by 15. Capel just committed the offensive foul. And the 17th foul against the Blue Devils.
And since Capel's offensive foul was not a player control foul, NC State will get to go to the line where someone other than Harrison has an opportunity to score.
Hyatt gets his first point.
Harrison averaging more than 14 points a game on the season.
And that's on a team that only scores 58 points a game.
Oh, boy, Mike, that is called attack mode right there.
Yeah.
Carrawell, like a gazelle coming down the court, just catches the ball in full stride and heads to the basket and gets fouled.
Harrison gets the foul. That's the 5th against NC State. Non-shooting foul. Duke inbounds with 8:22 left in the first half. Wojciechowski. Little reach-in foul on Gainey. That's his second.
Duke always pushing the ball at the basket. Very few side-to-side kind of plays for Duke. They're always headed to the goal.
One of the things in a first-year coach like Herb Sendek, he doesn't have a lot of his players in place, but you can see where he wants to go, the direction he wants to take. It's going to be intensity and defense. NC State in the last 8 minutes without a field goal. Let's check back in with Mike Tirico.
All right, Mike, as NC State finally breaks the field goal drought, we're going to send you back to the SEC. Vanderbilt and Ole Miss still tied. It's Vandy Ball, and once again, here's Timmy B and Barry Booker.
And for Ole Miss, Ansu Cisse, Jason Smith, guys that come to mind when you're in the last minute of the game.
Jozon Darby has been playing extremely well lately. He may get a chance to take a shot here.
There's the dump down to Cisse. The foul throw, every rebound contested. And a timeout taken by Vanderbilt, it appears. It will be a full 44.9 remaining in our game.
So as the timeout parade does continue, we're going to step out for a moment, get right back to the SEC. Duke still handily in the ACC. Stay with us.
氷上の格闘技 NHL アイスホッケー。プレーオフを前に役者も揃い、チームコンディション抜群のアバランチ。一方マイティダックスはプレーオフ進出のためにもう一敗もできない。 NHL コロラドアバランチ対アナハイムマイティダックス。火曜日午前1時から英語放送、午後10時32分からバイリンガル放送でお送りします。
JBL バスケットボール日本リーグ男子第30回日本リーグもいよいよ大詰め。プレーオフに進出した上位8チームによるチャンピオンシップ獲得の戦いもいよいよ熾烈になってきた。ファイナルへ進出するのはどのチームか。 JBL 男子準決勝は月曜日午後8時から放送します。
NBA バスケットボール。マイケル・ジョーダンは来シーズンも現役続行を宣言。年齢の高さをものともしないベテラン集団シカゴブルズ。昨年の最終戦ではブルズに僅差で敗れ悔しい思いをしたペイサーズ。前回とは違いスミスが戦力となっている今回の対戦、なんとか借りを返したい。 NBA シカゴブルズ対インディアナペイサーズは今日午後10時32分放送。お見逃しなく。
In an official timeout in the ACC, Duke leads NC State 23-9. So let's get you back to the SEC, where you haven't missed a thing. Vanderbilt and Ole Miss still tied, and Ole Miss in the white uniforms.
Here in their first ever SEC tournament.
Atiba Prater and Van Lange have responded to that pressure coming down the stretch in February. Those two players' development were the key to Vanderbilt's success in February.
Commodores have a 20-second timeout remaining. Ole Miss one full.
And about a 12-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Vanderbilt will have to put one in the air with about 12 seconds left in the ballgame.
We knew Maddox had to touch it. Off the pick from DeSpaltro. Good ball fake. Off the front rim, DeSpaltro with the rebound.
Now hold for the last shot if you're Vanderbilt. Final timeout. Good call by Jan Van Bredick.
They got the 20 because Maddox was ready to fire it.
Absolutely. He didn't recognize that the shot clock is off now, so Vanderbilt can hold for the last shot, and a huge offensive rebound by Vanderbilt there.
They've been few and far between.
Absolutely. Ole Miss with 24 offensive rebounds on the afternoon. Vanderbilt was one of their few chances there. It couldn't have come at a better time.
The options for Vanderbilt are these. Maddox from the perimeter, and then down low you've got DeSpaltro who can get it done either off the offensive glass or with the dump down. South Carolina waiting with grand anticipation. The regular season champions, you see Ryan Stack among others, towering over his teammates. The 97 version of Lethal Weapon 3 coming up next. Watson, Mackey, and Davis against Alabama. Whitehead on his own. Cisse clears. Outlet pass Darby, 3-on-1 to close it out for the win.
No timeout for Vanderbilt. They have to play it from here.
2.4. The Rebels have done it. Their 20th win. The Western Division champions will see another day in Memphis.
So Vanderbilt, a winner in overtime yesterday, loses near the buzzer today. They finished their record 19-11. Back to Mike Patrick in Greensboro.
All right, Mike, and Duke has seen its lead go down to 11 points as Rodney Hyatt has put 6 points on the board to go with 8 from C.C. Harrison.
And Hyatt gets fouled on that play right there as Carrawell pushes him from behind. And Duke has not been as effective offensively. Those little runners to the basket haven't been going down. North Carolina State doing a good job on the board.
Here's the story so far. NC State with 8 turnovers, shooting only 33%. Duke came out very hot. They cooled off a little down to 50. And Dan, you know, when you were coaching, it's very, very difficult if you have a lead to keep your kids' intensity going. Rebounded Carrawell off the missed free throw.
Mike, sometimes you're right. It does come a little too easily at the start of a game.
Chappelle, line drive, 3. Carrawell got his hands on it, knocked out of bounds by Strong.
Of course, the Duke Blue Devils, they're not afraid to take a shot very early in the shot clock. Chappelle has now launched a couple of threes.
He'll try another one. Spun out on him. Here comes Benjamin on the run. 1-on-4, waits for help. Benjamin for 3 out of the corner. Short.
Mike, that was a wide open shot, but this is not the tempo at which North Carolina State has played the entire season. Of course, when you get behind in a game, you've got to do whatever you can do to catch up, but you figure that Duke would be more comfortable at this pace than the Wolfpack.
It's also a little early to be rushing it. Carrawell doesn't get the roll again, and Hyatt with a rebound. I mean, if you're rushing it now with 6 minutes to go in the first half, what are you going to be doing in the second half?
Mike, but for Duke, it's almost like first guy down the court shoots the last few possessions, and that's not a way to be productive on offense.
Strong trying to get in the lane. Wojciechowski got a piece of it, but Strong got it back and powered it up.
And they've got it under double figures, Mike. North Carolina State, the one thing, they've been very resilient.
And Duke has missed 7 of its last 8. Langdon called for the travel.
Danny Strong, the one of 2 guys for the Wolfpack, averages in double figures, gets it knocked out of his hands by Wojciechowski, but he just continues to the basket, picks it up, and lays it in. Now, had that ball not been hit by Wojciechowski, Strong would not have been able to do that. You're not allowed to pass the ball to yourself, but Duke, who started out very strongly, missed 7 of the last 8. North Carolina State on an 11-4 run.
Gotten themselves back into this ball game. Hyatt against Price, stripped by Langdon.
And that's something that North Carolina State stopped doing after early in the game. They're just turning it over.
Back to Wojo for a reset. Wojo's become a very dangerous three-point shooter. To go along with Capel and Langdon. Chappelle can shoot from outside. McLeod's got some range. Capel doesn't get the roll on this one, and Benjamin with another rebound.
Mike, once again, a couple of passes and then a one-on-one move by Duke.
Both teams with very small lineups on the floor, and Duke right now with a 9-point advantage. Harrison, very good with that left hand. He's fouled by Langdon before the shot. 2 on Trajan Langdon.
Mike, and that was a one-on-one play by design, and there's a difference between having some guy just go one-on-one out of the context of the offense and somebody making a one-on-one move as Harrison does. You can see no other white shirts around. He's able to split in there, no other red shirts in the picture. They spread the court and allow him to have the freedom to move.
And now they're saying that's 3 on Langdon, so he will sit down with 4 minutes and 13 seconds to go in the first half. A big offensive weapon has to sit down at the Duke bench. And Harrison back to the free throw line, misses the first.
And they're struggling with the free throw line. If you get a look at Langdon on the bench and Harrison at the free throw line, up to this point, North Carolina State has avoided being buried. It didn't look like they were going to be buried when they were behind 21-5.
It's very easy to be run out of the building at that point, but they've regrouped and cut the lead to 8.
They're really a team with some character, Mike. These are kids. They started out 0-8 and finished the second half of the ACC season 4-4.
Capel tries a 3. Benjamin with another rebound. That's a tribute to Herb Sendek to get those kids to hang together after that kind of a start. And a tribute to the kids to do it. Benjamin a little one-on-one.
Spread out the floor, take away the help. And now as the clock starts to run down, you put it in the hands of Harrison.
Harrison hits the 3. That's only the second 3 we've had in 13 combined attempts between the teams. Harrison has 12 of the 20.
How about that?
Capel, nice head fake, gets the foul from Hyatt.
Mike, and they didn't score that time, but Duke got a shot out of the context of their offense. Mike Krzyzewski shaking his head a little bit, but that was about the best offensive series that they've had in a couple of trips down the court.
And that's a big foul because it's 3 on Hyatt.
C.C. Harrison has shown the ability to get to the basket, and so when he takes that dribble, the defender has to back off, and he rises up and drills the three-point shot. He has become a fine offensive player.
5th in the ACC in long-range shooting. Capel to the free throw line, makes the first.
Three personal fouls on Jeremy Hyatt. That's not good news for the Wolfpack. As you mentioned, not nearly as deep as Duke, and over a course of a 40-minute game with a team like the Blue Devils constantly attacking you, those fouls can add up.
Capel makes the 2 free throws to stop the streak. The lead is back to 7, but C.C. Harrison leading the Wolfpack right back into this ballgame.
Europa チャンピオンズリーググループ D でミランを破り予想を覆して勝ち残ったローゼンボルグ。しかし今回準々決勝の相手は優勝候補ナンバー1のユベントス。ローゼンボルグの運命やいかに。ヨーロッパチャンピオンズリーグ準々決勝1回戦ローゼンボルグ対ユベントスは日曜日午前1時30分放送。ご期待ください。
Duke is led by as many as 16. Now it's 7 with 3:23 to go in the first half. ESPN 2 will pick up the rest of our championship week from the ACC tonight. You'll see Florida State in a rematch with number 8 Wake Forest, followed by Virginia against number 5 North Carolina. The Heels just flying as we head down the stretch into tournament time.
Mike, and maybe the toughest game the North Carolina Tar Heels played in the second half of the season when they were 8-0 was a victory that they pulled out on a last-second shot at North Carolina State.
Yes, sir. I agree. Buffum is back in Herb Sendek's lineup. This is strong. Hesitated and throws up an air ball from 10 feet.
That was good defense by Duke, and now the Blue Devils out trying to run.
Duke has gone 8.5 minutes. Terrible drought, and Capel will draw a foul with a major collision with Buffum.
Mike Krzyzewski's squad got away from a team-oriented offense, Mike, and they went into a little bit of a one-on-one kind of deal, and that's one of the reasons why they struggled on the offensive end. But the last couple of trips, getting opportunities out of the offense. Capel, we mentioned before the game, the ability to get in there and get that medium-range jumper. That time he got inside and got the foul.
Capel hits the first. We'll get another. Greg Newton has checked into the ball game, trying to get Newton some minutes in the middle. He has been effective in the last few games, and Langdon on the bench for those 3 fouls. Good job of blocking out the shooter by Gainey to get the rebound.
Newton in the game because Buffum is in the game, and so now you have a little bit more conventional matchup in the center position.
That hair finally starting to grow back on Newton.
And it looks a whole lot better than it did.
That wasn't going to get him on the cover of GQ. Strong for 3.
Well, you don't know. Maybe his hair's got to be a strange color.
Capel got a nice screen from McLeod. Can't take advantage of it. 2:05 to go in the half. Now McLeod into the lane.
He walked. Oh, no, he got pushed.
Well, the NC State fans agree with you. They thought it was a walk.
Well, it was the push that created it as he made that spin move to the basket.
And that's 3 on Harrison, Dan.
Oh, boy, they cannot have that. Harrison bodying him up, and right there, Harrison gets that leg out and pushes him, and that was the call. Difficult for Harrison, trying to play defense down inside the post. He's trying to body up to McLeod, and that's one of the things that is, I mean, if you're a defensive player and you lean in or stick that leg out, that's automatic in terms of a foul being called.
That's Jason Sutton, the senior from Fayetteville, who comes in. So Harrison and Hyatt both have 3 personals. Here in the first half, it's not a good sign for North Carolina State.
And what it does, Mike, is create a very, very important last 2 minutes of the half. Duke started out with that 21-5 spurt. The Wolfpack did a great job hanging in the game, closing the gap. But now, Duke has an opportunity here with some key Wolfpack players on the bench to get another little spurt and maybe put the game out of reach.
Duke doing a superb job at the free throw line. 11 out of 12 as a team. They come in as the second best free throw shooting team in the conference. Just a hair under 70%. And they have the lead back up to 7.
And while the reliance on the three-point basket is not traditional Duke basketball under Mike Krzyzewski, the ability to get to the line and make free throws surely is.
Strong with the bucket. Even though he didn't get the steal, did you see the defense by Wojciechowski? He knew where he wanted to be, right at knee level going after that ball.
There's an impressive move by Strong to get the ball up past Wojciechowski.
Well, ever since there's the travel, the first time I ever saw him, I said, Strong is. Coming up at halftime, we'll be going back to the studio for Mike Tirico and taking a look first at our Maryland Clemson in the first game from the ACC. All the other action around college basketball, including that Vanderbilt, Mississippi thriller. The lead is 5. Nice pass to Benjamin, then he's double-teamed. Kick it back outside to Justin Gainey. Teruel comes out to Wojo.
Gainey had a good shot, and boy, you got to make Wojciechowski pay for leaving you on defense, and Gainey just wasn't able to get it to go down.
Price all alone for 3. Foul on Newton over the back.
Mike, this is an interesting little situation for the Duke Blue Devils. They started out so well, and now whatever magic it was that they had early in the game, they have certainly lost, and they've got to find a way to get it going again.
But they are in foul trouble without Harrison and Hyatt. Buffum misses the free throw. Mike, only the 8th free throw he's had all year long.
Has not gotten a lot of minutes.
No.
Particularly early in the year.
Well, Thornton was in there.
Absolutely. But the longer North Carolina State can hang in and the closer they can hang in with Harrison on the bench. Now, Strong is on the bench, too.
Tim Wells, that just checked in, fights for the rebound, but can't get it from Price.
You got your 3 leading scorers, Harrison, Strong, and Hyatt, all on the bench for the last minute of the half.
Wojciechowski trying to penetrate. Got it to Newton. He lost his balance. Somehow kept it alive. That's a great job by the big guy not to travel. Capel fouled by Sutton. Tough matchup for Sutton at 6'3" to go against Capel, who can leap.
Capel does a great job recognizing the mismatch and taking the ball in a position where he's either going to score or he's going to get fouled.
We get James and Chappelle back into the ball game, and Newton and Price will come out with 41.3 seconds to go in the half. Herb Sendek right now at Duke's mercy. He can't put arguably his three best players on the court for the final part of the half in fear of fouls. He's just got to hope the bench can do the job.
But what his team has done is, in the face of some intense pressure from the Blue Devils, they have done a great job controlling the basketball and controlling tempo for the last 11 minutes of the half.
In the last 10 minutes and 45 seconds, Duke has done very well from the free throw line. 8 out of 10. It's a good thing they've only hit one out of 12 field goals. Against pressure, Wojciechowski with another steal.
And Mike Krzyzewski tells him one shot.
He leads the ACC in thefts.
And the differential between the shot clock and the game clock is in some number of tenths of seconds, Mike. And if you can see that, then you can say how many tenths of seconds it is.
No, I can't quite pick it out. They don't have Langdon in there. He's on the bench in foul trouble. Wojo gives it up to Chappelle. This is Capel. Cut off. Back to Chappelle for three. Nothing doing, and NC State did his job defensively. So Herb Sendek and his Wolfpack, after a terrible start, threatening to be blown out of the building, have made it a 6-point game at the half. 31-25, the top-seeded Blue Devils. That's the story from Greensboro. Let's go to Mike Tirico.
Mike and Dan, it started out 21-5 Duke, but Digger, NC State scores 20 of the last 30 points in the first half.
Got to give him credit for attacking Duke, driving the ball, getting on the glass, and being aggressive. That really bothers Duke when you do that, and yet Duke's defense is still there when it counts.
NC State's not a big team. If there's one team of the big guys in the ACC they can beat, it's Duke. Close game at the half, scores and highlights. An exciting day so far. We'll be back with more after this.
ESPN's presentation of Championship Week is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by the Coors Light Wide Mouth Can. Tap the Rockies with a smoother pour.
Quarterfinal number 2, Duke with a 6-point lead over North Carolina State. Duke led by as many as 16 in this game. Really got to hand it for the Wolfpack to stay in here.
The Wolfpack did a great job defensively, offensively. Duke didn't score a field goal in the last 8 minutes and 52 seconds of the half. And really, Mike, Duke did not do as solid a job defensively over the last 11 minutes of the half that they did in the early half. Now watch here. Here's Greg Newton, and here's Rashawn McLeod. Now watch these two guys as Justin Gainey penetrates to the basket. Newton has Gainey covered. Newton's got him. Gainey's going nowhere, but watch McLeod. He goes in to help out, and as a result, Danny Strong is open from 3. And the question you have to ask yourself defensively is, are you better with Gainey covered inside or Strong uncovered on the perimeter? That was not good defensive decision-making.
And you saw most of the points from NC State coming in the last 7 minutes and 20 seconds as they hit 75% from the floor after making only 2 of their first 11, and Duke was the team that went cold, 0 for 10 in the last 8:52, and a lot of those were one-on-one shots.
Now, Mike, I realize that Langdon got in foul trouble in the first half, but I think your offense suffers a little bit when Langdon attempts 1 field goal and freshman Mike Chappelle attempts 7 in the first half. There's a blocking violation to start the second half.
Rashawn McLeod picks up his 3rd. Good penetration by Benjamin.
And as you look at the Duke shot chart, the thing that jumps out at you immediately is there is only one of the orange basketballs, the made shot, out beyond the 3-point line, where Duke scores an awful lot of their baskets.
Well, they're number 1 in the ACC, shooting 39.7%. Langdon is the best long-range shooter, and they are 8th in the country in 3-point shooting. So this is an unusual occurrence for them. Benjamin at the line out of Concord, North Carolina, makes the second one.
Obviously, Mike, if you can shut off their three-point game, then you have gone a long way to putting a crimp in their offense.
Langdon.
That's a tough shot.
Really difficult to get set when you fire that quickly coming off the screen.
He never really got turned, Mike.
No.
He's got to square his shoulders to the basket, and he didn't. Duke now 1 of 10 from three-point range.
They are averaging a school record 8.5 made every game. You're going to have to get on it to get anywhere near that. Gainey blew the layup. Here comes Langdon. Foul's going to be on Strong. That's his third. Langdon against UCLA had a tough time outside. 3 out of 13. Against Maryland, he's only 1 out of 5. North Carolina only 2 out of 6 today, 0 for 1. Wojciechowski gets the roll on the free throw. Wojo's one of those guys you want on the line. Remember, it was his 2 shots that beat Virginia in that controversial game with 7/10 of a second left. Duke now as a team 14 out of 16 free throws.
Duke now trying to apply the defensive pressure, and they forced North Carolina State out of its offensive pattern early in the game.
Gainey went up in the air, lost it to Wojciechowski. Jump ball situation. Possession error to Duke. Well, Gainey made the mistake, and Wojo made him pay for it.
Gainey takes the ball in too deeply toward the basket. He's got to stop and make a pass before this, and Wojciechowski just stays with him, and then finally Wojo gets his hands on the ball, and Wojciechowski, of course, diving on the floor. Gainey does a nice job to try to recover, but Gainey just took it too close to the basket that time.
Once the ball goes on the floor, the next sound you hear will be the thud of Wojciechowski's body following it. The lead is 7 for the Blue Devils. Langdon, nice cut off a screen and buried it.
Mike, that's good movement without the ball. We talked before the game about Duke and the medium-range jump shot, and Langdon takes it, makes it.
Wojo on Gainey, just making his life miserable, as he does to every point guard, it seems. Harrison, who had the big first half after Strong, short on the 3. Carrawell with a rebound, Wojo with a loose ball. Duke appears to be playing with the intensity that it had at the beginning of this game.
Much less dribbling on the offensive end, Mike.
Carrawell, a little baseline turnaround jumper. McLeod couldn't keep it alive, and Strong with a good board.
Now, that last shot that North Carolina State missed, Mike, is the kind of shot that they're going to have to make if they're going to stay in this game. Good penetration by Harrison led to a wide-open shot. You're going to have to knock most of those down.
Off balance, off target.
I think he was looking for the foul on that particular play because he had Hyatt open in the corner.
Capel for 3. Got it. That's a big shot. It makes it a 12-point lead. And 10 points for Capel, 6 of them from downtown. Duke back in its intense comfort zone and up by 12.
Mike, at the center of everything for the Duke Blue Devils is Steve Wojciechowski. He's going to get the basketball, and he's shouting out the play right now. He's telling people where to go. This is what you want your point guard to do, is get everything set. And then, almost in mid-shout, he takes the ball and drives to the basket, and Capel gets open for the 3. You know, you figure, well, some guy's yelling and pointing, you can relax a little bit, but Wojciechowski goes right to the basket. Duke has now scored 7 straight points.
Wojciechowski, the prototypical point guard, almost 3-to-1. Tommy Amaker had 2.5-to-1 as a point guard for the Duke record. Wojo is shattering that, and he also leads the ACC in steals. And I think the assist-to-turnover ratio is so much more important than just raw numbers of assists.
You got to hang on to the basketball, that's for sure. Harrison and Strong have been the offense. They have combined for 21 of the 26.
And for Strong's sake, I hope that was a pass.
No, unfortunately, Mike, he was shooting the basketball. But just as they did early in the game, North Carolina State reacting to Duke's pressure by going a little too quickly on offense, forcing some things.
Not their kind of tempo. Duke moving very well without the ball, setting a lot of screens. Langdon, tough shot, but he will draw the foul on Benjamin. 2 on the junior.
Langdon is a guy who had a bit of a reputation earlier on that he's going to be a three-point shooter and you just run at him. But he really is a guy who has shown that he can put the ball on the deck and get in there, drive to the basket, or pull up for the jumper.
And it's very unusual because the year he had off because of the stress reaction in his leg, really all he could do was stand still and shoot. And you figure that would just reinforce all the things he had done well before. But as he came back for this season, he really became a guy who could penetrate. It's a complete player now for Mike Krzyzewski. And if you make first-team All-ACC as a sophomore in this league, you got something going. 40-26, Blue Devils by 14. NC State now in pretty decent shape for an NIT bid, you would think, as they have guaranteed themselves at least a 500 record. Benjamin got by Langdon. This is Hyatt moving it to Strong. Kept alive by Gainey. Blocked. The foul will be on Capel before the block.
Nice job inside by Gainey. Danny Strong did not catch that ball cleanly, Mike. He had a wide open shot, but he didn't catch it cleanly. And you just, when you're a shooter, you just have to catch, not that I would know anything about this, but you have to catch the ball in a certain rhythm. And if you're going to fumble that ball when you try to get your hands on it, it's going to be awfully tough to make a shot of that distance.
Gainey hits the first free throw. It has been all Harrison and Strong on offense, shooting nearly 50% from the floor and 21 of the 28 points. They need some help.
They need some help, Mike, but particularly without Damon Thornton in the game, there really isn't any place that they can go get it except maybe Jeremy Hyatt.
And Hyatt's been held to 4. Wojo as Gainey picks up his defense. Carawall got caught up in the air. Nice save by Capel. Then he throws it away, knocked out of bounds out to Duke.
And there's Justin Gainey turning the tables on Steve Wojciechowski just a little bit.
Nice piece of officiating by Frank Scagliotta, who says, I thought I saw it, I'm not sure. Did you see it any differently? No, the ball goes that way. 40-28, Blue Devils by a dozen, 15:42 left.
待ちに待ったプロ野球シーズンがいよいよ到来。スポーツアイ ESPN ではオリックス戦を中心にパ・リーグの試合をお送りしていきます。さて注目のオープン戦は野球ファン必見の好カード。今日午後6時からはオリックス対巨人、明日日曜日午後6時からはオリックス対ヤクルトを放送。またパーフェクト TV 加入の方はこの2試合を午後1時から生中継でご覧いただけます。お楽しみに。
In the MAC semifinals, Eastern Michigan and Bowling Green, top seed, having a little trouble. Torrey Mills, the feed inside. Uche Izugwu, the good handle, and the strong throwdown. Eastern Michigan leading BGSU by 4. Iowa State has bounced back, up 1 on Texas Tech. Mike?
Easy for you to say, Mike. 40-28. Duke by a dozen here with 15:42 to go in the second quarterfinal in the ACC tournament. As usual, not a ticket to be had, 23,500 plus.
North Carolina State obviously would like to be more successful than 0 for 5 from the field, but I think the story has been the Duke defense again, limiting the opportunities for North Carolina State.
Carrawell couldn't quite handle it. May have ticked the underside of the rim as Capel tried to feed one through.
And that was really a tough place to throw the ball. Not much room there to get it through. Would have been a great play had it been accomplished. You know, Gainey's done a nice job standing up to the Duke pressure. He really... a young man who didn't play a lot early in the season, but he's really done a nice job today.
Strong against McLeod, goes right by him and then blocked on the baseline by Carrawell. Nice defense.
Boy, you can understand why Duke really likes that young freshman.
It's always somebody to help for the Blue Devils.
Oh, what a shot.
Ouch. Got a man draped all over him and banks it home to lead back to 14. Capel has a dozen.
Capel is the guy who's capable of putting a lot of points on the board, and when he's playing with some offensive confidence, he can be very, very difficult to guard.
Gainey, McLeod backed off, and Gainey gets the bucket. Capel has passed Chris Collins in this game as the number 2 3-point shooter of all time at Duke. Good anticipation and steal by Hyatt.
Carrawell did not come to the ball strongly that time, Mike. That was a pass that should have been completed.
Hyatt looks toward Herb Sendek and gives it up to Benjamin.
It's gotten quiet in here all of a sudden.
Harrison against Capel. Got his shot in the lane.
Mike, I mean, they get down under 10 seconds and they spread out the court and give Harrison the ball, and that puts a lot of pressure on Harrison, but he continues to produce.
He seems to thrive in that situation. They've cut it back to 10. Capel dumps it. McLeod. I was going to say, that sure looked like a walk. And after about the third step, Frank Scagliotta agreed with me. Championship week continues on Sunday with a men's tournament selection special. Will fill out the field of 64 starting at 6:30 Eastern. And then the complete field for the women's NCAA tournament selection special presented by State Farm. That follows at 7:30. The lead is 10. North Carolina State just won't go away. The question is, can they make the rush to get really back in it? Gainey. 8 points.
As I said, Mike, he's having a pretty nice ball game.
Ricky Price. 17-footer short Hyatt rebound. This game has really swung in momentum, hasn't it?
Well, it really has, Mike, and it's one of those things. Duke has not been effective except when they are scoring.
Foul on Wojciechowski. That's his second.
And the North Carolina State partisans really enjoying that particular foul call. Wojciechowski quite the pest, and if you're a Wolfpack fan, you're very happy to see him get a foul call. Wojciechowski really an intense defensive player. He gets down, he plays hard. He got called that time for having his hands on Gainey. Actually, it didn't look like he got him. He swatted his hand in there. It didn't look like he hit anything.
I think that was the official had an angle when the reach in. It's almost an automatic call.
And there's a foul on Price. He's hanging on.
And that's a good foul by Price because Harrison was wide open. Well, that will be 3 on Ricky.
I don't think he really meant to foul him. He just got behind him. The other thing on that Wojciechowski play that the official doesn't have the advantage that we do is not on the angle, but we're able to look at it in slow motion.
Real slow. And from the perfect angle. 12.5 minutes to go. It is a 12-point, or making an 8-point Duke lead.
12 just a minute ago, though, Mike.
Yes, it was. Harrison, huge shot.
And now it's 5. Mike, this half has gone a lot the way the first half did. Duke jumps out early, and North Carolina State just doesn't quit.
Take away the scoreboard. It's a replay of the first half. Down to 5. Chappelle. Price. Wojo. Goes by Gainey. Dumps it. And Wallace missed a shot.
Boy, you got to convert that.
Wojo with a great feed. You can see the disappointment on his face. He did everything but make the basket for Wallace. State on a 9-0 run. Strong. It's a 3-point game. Mike Krzyzewski said that's enough. Got to hand it to Herb Sendek and his kids. They refuse to go away.
Mike, and now with the underdog threatening, the crowd really gets into the game.
They love the underdog, especially in the early rounds. Back in a moment.
いよいよ到来。スポーツアイ ESPN ではオリックス戦を中心にパ・リーグの試合をお送りしていきます。さて注目のオープン戦は野球ファン必見の好カード。今日午後6時からはオリックス対巨人、明日日曜日午後6時からはオリックス対ヤクルトを放送。またパーフェクト TV 加入の方はこの2試合を午後1時から生中継でご覧いただけます。お楽しみに。
North Carolina State has hit its last 5 shots to make it a 3-point game, none bigger than the last 2, Dan.
Mike, I'm telling you, watch C.C. Harrison catch that ball in rhythm. He caught it almost in his shooting motion. So that's the 3-point basket. And then Duke playing that small lineup. North Carolina State runs strong along the baseline. And then against the smaller lineup, Strong very capable of getting it and getting it in the basket.
The last 3:03, 11 straight points for the Wolfpack. Now can Duke regain the intensity? They throw it away. Smart play by Strong to set up the offense. Gainey. Let's see if it counts. They're waving it off. Offensive foul inside away from the ball. Holy cow.
No, Mike, I don't think so. I think that there was some sort of a problem with the clock. I don't think the clock started. And so the official blew his whistle as Duke Edsel before that play even started.
Which he's supposed to do.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very unfortunate for Herb Sendek that a 3-point basket went in. Frank Scagliotta and Duke Edsel going to talk about it there at the scorer's table for Herb Sendek.
Of course, Herb Sendek feels he got the short end of the stick, but it just turns out to be one of those unfortunate things that if the clock doesn't start, the official, as soon as he sees it's got to blow the whistle.
Now, Duke Edsel is underneath the basket. Here's the official right here. Now, watch his action. He catches the ball right there. He gets set to shoot right there before the shot goes up. The whistle blows.
Now, the shot clock ran for 4 seconds. The question is, did the game clock run at all?
Well, it was not a foul call.
Which I thought the original indication was an offensive foul away from it.
So I don't know whether it was a problem with the shot clock or the game clock, but there was some sort of a clock problem.
We don't need another clock problem. And the officials certainly don't need another clock problem. It will be NC State's ball.
So what they did is they put 2 seconds back on the shot clock. I think Herb Sendek's argument was, I'd rather have 3 points than 2 seconds.
Thanks.
The shot clock never reset after Duke turned it over. And that was what the official noticed, and properly so, he stopped the game. Just an unfortunate circumstance for North Carolina State.
Hyatt beat James on the baseline, a 1-point lead.
Mike, and that's what they've been doing all day. They don't hang their heads or get mad about that unfortunate call. They go and they take advantage of it.
Langdon back the other way will draw the foul. The foul will be on Strong. That's his 4th. Remember, in the first half, Hyatt and Harrison both were hampered by 3.
We talked about where North Carolina State's offense was going to come from other than Strong and Harrison, and we mentioned Jeremy Hyatt, and he shows you that he's got the capability of taking it to the basket and laying it in.
Strong has to go out of the game, and Buffum comes in with those 4 fouls for Danny.
And I think now that guys like Oshua Benjamin and Jeremy Hyatt really have to make sure that they pick up some of the offensive load.
Particularly Benjamin, who's been held to 1 point today. Langdon, as automatic as it gets at the free throw line. State has been a Jekyll and Hyde here in the second half. They missed their first 6 shots. They've made their last 6, and it's back to a 3-point Duke lead. Langdon's now converted all 8 free throws on the afternoon.
Gainey has done a nice job neutralizing the Duke pressure and allowing North Carolina State to run its offense.
He's been terrific at keeping his dribble alive against this pressure. Shot clock at 9. Gainey, everyone sort of stood around and waited for someone else to pick up the ball. Guess who? Wojo waits for nobody.
And he took it away from his own teammate and 3 North Carolina State players.
Well, he take it away from Mike Krzyzewski. He's going to get the ball. Nice skip pass to Capel for 3. Oh, good rebound inside. Strong by Harrison.
That was an open look from 3. Capel did a nice job catching it, getting it up to the basket quickly. They're all not going to go in the basket.
Now they're going to spread the court again.
This will allow Harrison some room to maneuver.
Gainey kicks it back to Buffum. Shot clock is down to 9.
Now Gainey's going to have to go against Wojciechowski here.
Tough assignment. Leans into one. Didn't get any luck on the shot. Buffum tried to save it and couldn't.
Buffum sort of fanned on the attempt to knock it back inbound.
Boy, they're scratching and clawing, though. Down to 9 minutes and 18 seconds to go. Duke led by 16 in the first half. They led by 14 in the second half. And North Carolina State, after playing its way in last night against Georgia Tech, simply trying to extend its season 1 more game.
Mike, and the interesting thing about this is North Carolina State's playing so hard, not nearly as deep as Duke, in foul trouble. You wonder how long the Wolfpack can maintain this kind of intensity.
And 17 hours after they played last night. Langdon, tough drive. Harrison stripped him. Wojo goes right down to the floor to get it back. McLeod, offensive foul. Don't you love the intensity, though?
Mike, nothing easy for either team. They're just getting after one another. Everything has been contested. Wojciechowski makes another great play to come up with the ball. Harrison knocks it away. Wojo beats Gainey to the basketball, gets it to McLeod, but now one of the best defenders in the league, Benjamin, just gets in there, holds his ground, and draws the foul.
Right now, 2 points is the grand prize. We haven't had it in a while. 44-41. Harrison has been the offensive star, gives it up to Buffum. He will not look at the hoop from there. Harrison against Price. Really off balance, and a nice rebound by Gainey. Benjamin barely kept that foot on the floor. That's an offensive foul on Benjamin.
Benjamin just got that arm out there, Mike, and that's almost an automatic call. So Duke turns the tables on Benjamin right there. Gets the arm out, just throws the arm out. I think he did it because he was losing his balance a little bit, but that doesn't make any difference.
Got him with the second one. So Duke has the ball back in a three-point lead. Duke has not had a field goal in 6.5 minutes.
Mike, and I'm telling you what, basketball is a pretty difficult game when the ball never goes in the basket for you. And for Duke, playing against a team like North Carolina State that plays that slow style, that plays that intense style, if you're not going to score, the game gets harder and harder every trip.
Pretty tough when you have to shut the other guy out in order to have a chance to win. Harrison double teamed, got it. Harrison has 19 points, and guess what? It's back to a one-point game. Capel. Tough shot and got it. Jeff Capel, the leader. Boy, that's a big basket.
Mike, it really is. And North Carolina State could not have defended that much better once Capel got into the lane. They had 3 guys around.
That was one of those situations you knew he was going to take the shot and you just felt he was going to make it. 7:25 and counting.
Shot clock running down, and in this situation, Mr. Harrison gets it, and they spread the court.
Price got a piece of it. Shot clock at 4. He's got to force this one. Made it anyway. Holy cow. Wow. Harrison with 21, putting on a one-man show, nearly half of his team's points, 8 out of 12 from the floor. Langdon fouled before he passes. I think they're going to get Buffalo.
You got Gainey on the way by. North Carolina State really puts a lot of pressure on C.C. Harrison when that shot clock runs down, but this young man has responded, particularly in the second half of the season, and particularly in this game. That is a great shot.
Harrison has been spectacular. He has his team back within a point.
Exciting ハンドボール男子の世界クラブチーム選手権スーパーグローブ。今回はヨーロッパシティカップでノルウェーに栄冠をもたらした HK ドランメンと韓国代表チームのメンバーが多くを占める強月指導の一戦。エキサイティングハンドボール97スーパーグローブ準決勝第2戦 HK ドランメン対強月指導は水曜日午後8時30分よりお送りします。NBA バスケットボール。マイケル・ジョーダンは来シーズンも現役続行を宣言。年齢の高さをものともしないベテラン集団シカゴブルズ。昨年の最終戦ではブルズに僅差で敗れ悔しい思いをしたペイサーズ。前回とは違いスミスが戦力となっている今回の対戦、なんとか借りを返したい。 NBA シカゴブルズ対インディアナペイサーズは今日午後10時32分放送。お見逃しなく。
It's been a pretty close first half in Kansas City. 5 points, the biggest margin either way. Iowa State and Texas Tech. Dedrick Willoughby's team was down a bit. Willoughby, the pull-up jumper that goes. They've reached the break, and Iowa State has a 2-point lead in Kansas City. Meantime, in the SEC, South Carolina very solid, adding to their lead on Alabama. Mike?
All right, thanks, Mike. We have a one-point game here, surprisingly enough. Duke has gone cold a couple of different times in this game after building big leads, and North Carolina State just will not go away, and now they have a chance to pull off what would be a major upset.
If you're North Carolina State coming into this game, Mike, what you want to do is make sure you play yourself in a position to win, and they have certainly established that right now.
Wojo was open from three all the way across the lane. Langdon. The assassin missed that one, and NC State with a chance to take the lead.
Mike, I think Benjamin got a piece of that one.
The crowd coming to its feet. A tribute to NC State, and they have earned it so far.
And watch they just completely clear out the side for Harrison.
Chappelle is on him right now. Harrison with 21 points. That's Gainey. Gainey against Wojo. Help from Langdon. Hyatt with three on the shot clock. What a huge shot! Rodney Hyatt with 9, and look at this. NC State by a deuce.
Mike, the Wolfpack has done a great job defending the Duke three-point baskets and then pressuring them as they try to get into the lane.
Wojciechowski picked up his dribble. Somebody has to come to him. Shot clock at 9.
I mean, they're under 10 on the shot clock, and they're nowhere close to starting their offense.
Wojo down the lane. Good pass to Chappelle, and he's banged by Buffalo. Dan, you were right. They wasted 15 seconds even getting into the mode to start their offense. And that was because of NC State's defense.
North Carolina State, Mike, all year long they have been able to convert at the end of the shot clock because that's their offense. They run the shot clock down, they take a shot at the end of the shot clock period. Hyatt catches it, knocks it down, and obviously his reaction is one of elation, but as we come down at the end of a close game, keep in mind that North Carolina State has a lot of practice scoring at the end of the shot clock.
Great awareness by those kids, too, knowing where that clock is and getting it off in time, not having to rush it. Chappelle for three. No second chances for Duke. Gainey with the ball, 5-13 and counting.
Chappelle is now 0 for 5 from beyond the three-point arc.
Crowd wanted a foul on Wojo. McLeod comes out on Buffalo. Benjamin, great pass to Hyatt. NC State by 4. Are you kidding? Capel. Langdon with a tough shot, won't go. NC State ball.
Mike, that's what I'm talking about. They go out and defend the three, and then as Langdon drives the lane, they make it a very, very difficult shot. This is a big defensive sequence for Duke right here, Mike. I think they almost have to stop North Carolina State.
Well, they've got NC State to the position right now where they believe everything is going to go in. Shot clock down to 5. 22-4 run. Harrison just in and out, saved by Buffum, and then he's fouled by Wojo. These kids are feeling it, Dan.
Mike, you let a team like this that's just beginning to gain some confidence, you let them stay in the game long enough, and they believe that they can win. And remember, Duke got out in front of this game 21-5, and then they started the second half and rebuilt the lead back up to 14 points.
They've responded every time to North Carolina State's challenges. Well, this is the biggest challenge of all as Danny Strong comes back in the game. And what a Wolfpack by 4.
What a tremendous job to maintain and improve while Strong was out of the game.
Picked off by McLeod. You saw Duke extend its defense that time. Wojo trying to draw the foul. Great save by Langdon, and then Benjamin knocked it out of bounds. Wojciechowski may have made a different decision if he had to do over again. He was just trying to get the foul, didn't get it. Duke has one field goal in the last 11 minutes. Gainey against Wojo. Help from Langdon. Hyatt with 3 on the shot clock. What a huge shot! Harrison, Hyatt, and Strong have combined for 43 of North Carolina State's 50 points, and they lead the top seed Duke by 4. Maryland has already advanced. They await the winner of this game, number 1 against number 8. Later tonight on the Deuce, you'll see Wake and Florida State, North Carolina and Virginia. Gary Williams' day continues as he gets his 350th head coaching victory and now does a little scouting for tomorrow's semifinal. Wojciechowski against Gainey. Duke in a terrible shooting slump. Langdon, that'll get him out of it.
Again, that's a shot, Mike, that is under heavy pressure. North Carolina State responding very well to the Duke penetration to the basket. Now Duke's got to have another defensive stop.
Langdon has 14. It's a 2-point game. NC State really showing some quickness on offense. Strong. Gainey got by Wojo and had position. Justin Gainey's going to be a heck of a player.
He's got 8 points in the game. So when you combine him with those other 3 guys, they scored 51 of the 52.
Langdon, too strong, goes to the floor to try to save it out to Duke. 2:55 left.
Mike, he does not look very comfortable from out there beyond the 3-point arc. And Duke, which shot 60% from outside the 3-point line in the last time they played North Carolina State, only 2 for 15 today.
Got to go all the way back to 1989 to find the last team in number 8 seed beat number 1. That was when Maryland beat NC State. Right now, it's a distinct possibility. McLeod, 2-point game again.
Mike, and this certainly makes all that talk about the next year's tournament format, the number 9 seed, the number 1 seed, look a little more dangerous.
Well, Gainey does a good job of palming the ball and not getting called for it. That's become an art form.
Well, it is an art form, Mike, and the practitioners, you have to admire.
Benjamin, pushing foul on McLeod.
Well, that is a very difficult matchup for McLeod. Benjamin with a substantial advantage in terms of quickness.
And McLeod's gone. That's a big loss for Duke.
Mike, the point that you made about North Carolina State and their quickness on offense is a very, very good one. In their offense, they've been able to spread the court and allow people to take advantage of their quickness in certain mismatches.
Benjamin will go to the line 1-1. NC State has not been a good free throw shooting team. Benjamin has been a good free throw shooter. 58% tonight, only 11 out of 18, while Duke has hit 18 of 20. Benjamin, 3 out of 4. The lead is back to 4.
Mike, and this really keeps the pressure on Duke. Every time North Carolina State can score, that makes it harder for Duke.
Every possession becomes so dear. Nice job by Benjamin against Langdon. Didn't go for any of the fakes. Here's Capel. Loose ball. Carrawell stolen by Benjamin. Gets it to Hyatt. Capel reaches in.
Timeout. What a heads-up play. You know, I really don't like that rule where you can call timeout in situations like that, but that's what the rule is right now.
Use it.
Hyatt really with a heads-up play to get that timeout.
Well, when the ball's loose out there in the last few minutes, if there's a no-man's land. 4-point lead for State.
The Fire Marshal in Boston is out having some chatter. They are packed into Case Gymnasium. The America East automatic bid, Drexel BU, coming up after the great finish in Greensboro. Mike and Dan.
All right, Mike, it's a 4-point difference here, and Clint Harrison has been the difference for North Carolina State. He's been awesome.
He really has, and he's done it just about every way that you can do it, moving constantly without the basketball. Takes the pass, and then watch him get inside. Okay, there we have that. Then, as the 35-second shot clock runs down, handle the ball against pressure and knock it in, and then stroke the wide-open three-point shot.
Trying to lead his team to a major upset. They're up by 4, 1:51 to go. Look at the run, 26-8. Duke has Trajan Langdon with 14 points, but he has not made a three. He's the best three-point shooter in the ACC. Trying to get a steal on a double team. Out of bounds, off of Hyatt, out to Duke.
Duke is going to come back and win the game, Mike. They're going to have to get it done on the defensive end because they have really struggled on the offensive end. And North Carolina State has done a great job defending the perimeter jump shots and then making those penetrating drives to the basket very difficult.
Wojo knocked away by Benjamin. What a great defensive game he's given us.
And that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Duke is not able to get very far into the lane, and the reaction, the rotation to the basketball has been very, very good.
Capel, scoop shot, draws the foul.
Mike, it's just amazing. He gets into the lane, and there's just red shirts everywhere.
Harrison with his fourth personal. He had 3 in the first half, so he's played a long, long time without getting deeper into trouble. And Capel will go to the line where he is 4 out of 6 on the game. Struggled with the line this year, only 61% on the season. Misses the first. .137 to go. Made the second. Now here comes the pressure. Hyatt lost a handle on it, got it back to Harrison, and he is fouled by Price. Almost got the turnover. 4 on Price. No time for the Meek to be out there right now, Dan.
Mike, this has not been a game for the Meek at all today.
Well, if you've got the ball right now, they come after you like a dog after a lamb chop.
Hyatt does a great job preventing that turnover right there. He knocked the ball away. Capel had it.
Harrison, about the only thing he's done wrong today is missed 3 free throws. These are big, and he knocks the first one down.
Mike, I don't really care the way he's played in this basketball game. I like him at the free throw line.
Absolutely. State is a team 13 out of 21. Harrison makes them both. The lead is now 5.
And this is a must-score situation for Duke on the offensive end.
Capel trying to penetrate. Tough shot. Can't get it. Harrison had the rebound. Capel may have gotten away with a push foul, and now Wojciechowski will pick up the person. That's his 4th. And it's looking more and more like the first time since '89, number 8 will knock off number 1. And Dan, if that happens, this could be huge for Duke, because if they went on and won the ACC tournament, they would probably get a number 1 NCAA seed out of it. Going out in the first round, that really kills that.
And it's possible, Mike, that maybe the biggest beneficiary of this, Rick Majerus' Utah club.
What a finish they had last night. Harrison rolls in the first one.
Now, Mike, we've got a lot of time left in this game, but North Carolina State really keeping the pressure on by converting their offensive opportunity.
2-possession game. Harrison could make it 3. And does. 58-51. You never know what you're going to get in the ACC quarterfinals. Wojo, tough shot, and he made it. 20-second timeout called by Duke.
Excellent recognition by Duke. They did not necessarily need the 3. It's a 3-possession game anyway. What they needed to do was score quickly. And Wojciechowski handles it himself, getting the ball quickly into scoring position and then penetrating into the lane. Nice job by North Carolina State to react out to cover the 3-point shooters. Good job by Wojciechowski to get the 2 quickly.
Plenty of time left, 109. But Duke is probably going to be forced to foul and send NC State to the line. You might think about picking somebody else besides Harrison. I think you could toss it underhand and make them now.
Well, but of course, North Carolina State is going to throw the ball inbounds and try to get it to guys like Harrison. Strong.
He's 75% from the line. Check in with Mike Tirico. Mike.
Mike, fans are tuning in to watch the America East Championship game. The automatic bid on the line. BU on its home court in the white, taking on Drexel in the yellow. Get you there as soon as we're done with NC State and Duke. And Duke fans, Joey Beard plays for BU. You can see him after the game.
All right, thank you, Mike. That was the 5th foul on Price. He is gone, joining Rashawn McLeod. And Danny Strong will go to the free throw line. Strong with 11 points today. And he's 2 for 2 on free throws. Here comes Nate James.
Mike, the problem for the Duke Blue Devils now is Strong is able to convert these free throws. They cannot afford to trade points. If you're going to foul, then you got to come down and you got to trade 3 for 2.
Well, you just get the feeling, Dan, that NC State is going to make everything, don't you? They've hit their last 10 free throws. Make it 11.
Mike, and Duke had big offensive games against NC State, scoring 70 points and then 80 points in the previous contest.
Cable, the 3 won't go. Langdon couldn't keep it alive. Strong got it out to Gainey. Wojo with a foul. That's 5 on Wojciechowski. Got to take your hat off to NC State. They were dead a couple of times in this game. Somebody didn't tell them.
Mike, there was no way that anybody in here, except maybe the folks on the NC State bench, could have conceived of this when Duke started out the game and ran to that 21-5 lead. What a turnaround by North Carolina State.
The number 7 team in the country, the top seed in the tournament, losing to North Carolina State, a team with 14 wins, 13 losses. They went above 500 last night. So Wojo, Price, and McLeod have all fouled out in the late stages. And Gainey misses the first one.
Still a 3-possession game.
And still a lot of time with 50.5 seconds, as well as Langdon and Capel shoot the threes. It's not over yet, but it's starting to look a little bleak if you like royal blue. Capel will take it inside, missed the shot. James with a rebound and the follow. And Duke will use it as a timeout. And this will be a full timeout for Mike Krzyzewski with only 42.7 seconds left. Herb Sendek and the Wolfpack going for a huge upset. Back in a moment.
ESPN がお送りするフィットネスビーチ。爽やかな笑顔とビーチのそよ風をあなたの部屋にお届けします。爽快な汗とともに始まる新しい一日。フィットネスビーチは毎朝放送。お楽しみに。
スポーツアイ ESPN が自信を持ってお送りするエキサイティングハンドボール。
5月に熊本で行われる世界選手権に向けてハンドボールの魅力を毎週1時間にわたってお伝えします。
世界のトップレベルのプレーからハンドボールを楽しむための基礎知識、そして熊本で行われる世界選手権の情報など、まさに内容盛りだくさん、てんこ盛りでお送りしていきます。
エキサイティングハンドボール、
お見逃しなく。
In the America East, Boston University has scored the first 2 goals. About 3.5 minutes in, Drexel being shut out on BU's home floor. Wild atmosphere. We'll get you there as soon as we're done in the ACC. Iowa State's edge is 6 in the Big 12 quarterfinal in Kansas City. Again, here's Mike.
Thanks, Mike. It is a 6-point spread with only 42 seconds left. You made the point early. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. The sword for Duke has been 3-point shooting. The first game, 45%. The second meeting, 60. Today, a crisp 13, which won't get it done. Hyatt has to spend a timeout to avoid the 5-second turnover.
And North Carolina State is out of timeouts. That was their last one. It'll be a full timeout.
Duke has only a 20 left.
Mike, this is a situation where you have to rely on your players now to know what they're supposed to do without getting them organized and calling the timeout and saying, okay, set up your defense. On a score, the clock is going to stop. And so what you've got to do is scramble very quickly to get to your defensive positions. It's only a two-possession game. However, every time Duke fouls, North Carolina State would go to the line, and they'll have two. So what Duke is going to have to do in this situation again is try to trade 3 points for 2 points. But they're running out of time.
61-55, only 42.7 seconds left. Maryland a winner in the first quarterfinal game against Clemson, the 4th and 5th seeds going at it. What a huge day for Obina Akizi. A double-double, stayed out of foul trouble, got 20 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocked shots, and Maryland, which got off to a nearly disastrous start, ended up shooting 49% from the floor and beat the Clemson Tigers.
Mike, and North Carolina State got off to a disaster.
Yes, they did.
Here. They got behind 21-5. And in fact, they were behind by 14 in the second half.
Yes, they were. Hyatt the inbound to Strong, and they go after him immediately. James picks up the personal. And 41.4 left.
For North Carolina State, a big part of the strategy right here is getting the ball into the hands of the proper guy. With the exception of Gainey, everybody out there 69% or better from the free throw line. Gainey, a 61% free throw shooter, but of the people out on the court, the best free throw shooter is at the line right now, and he's 4 for 4.
And Strong is 4 for 4. They've done a marvelous job in the second half, hitting 12 of 14, now 13 of 15. But we said at the beginning of the telecast, this team has become a legitimate threat to anybody, and they've just shown Duke how legitimate they are.
Mike, we talked about the fact that they were able to control the ball and impose their style on the game. They would really be a threat, and they have done just that.
3 from Nate James. That cuts it to 5. Now they're going to have to foul almost immediately again, and they do foul Harrison. In the America East, keep you updated on all the scores. 33.1 seconds to go here. State by 5. Harrison at the line. It's 7 out of 10 and has 25 points. To say he's been exceptional is an understatement. There were times in this game when he had the only points and was the only option on offense.
He's a pretty good option, though, Mike.
Yes, he is. Most people haven't had a chance to see NC State this year. Made 1 out of 2. 6-point lead. Actually, that means it's a 2-possession game. Capel to Carrawell, now out to Langdon with a man in his face. Nate James kept it alive, had it knocked out of bounds. Duke's ball, 21.1.
Mike, and I think, you know, we've talked a lot about the guys who produced the offense for North Carolina State, but Oshua Benjamin, I think, has had a big hand in the defensive effort for the Wolfpack.
Get it to Capel inside, trying to draw the foul. They get the basket. 4-point lead ahead of the pack is Harrison. It's appropriate that he got it. Harrison with 28, only 1 off his career high. Strong gives it up to Harrison. Under 10 seconds to go. And NC State has done it. Number 8 beats number 1. Sendek able to celebrate Mike Krzyzewski leaving the court as his club loses by 6. They came in as the top seed. Harrison, the star of the game, with 28 points. What a performance, Dan.
Mike, it was just, we've mentioned before, they were down, North Carolina State, that is, by 16 points at the start of the game. And who better to put the finish on this effort by the Wolfpack than C.C. Harrison? What a huge game he played.
A game he will never forget, and the first semifinal tomorrow will be a sea of dark red as the NC State Wolfpack will go against the Terrapins of Maryland, who knocked off Clemson in the opening game. So NC State will have an uphill ride again tomorrow, but we're starting to expect anything out of them. Our final score, NC State 66, Duke 60. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Dan Bonner and our entire crew, this is Mike Patrick. Thanks for watching.